Good morning, Slop Nation. It is I, Harvey, coming at you post-surgery. My beloved friend Nicholas Sanders has volunteered to guest host the podcast while I'm recovering, and we love him for that. He brought his good friends and gallerists, Rachael and Ross. They're all three excellent on the podcast. Unfortunately, I was bedbound and unable to help set up the podcast, so the audio recorder did not ever get started. So the only audio that we have is the camera audio. It sucks ass, man, because it's a good episode. So if you can deal with it, if you can bear with it, you've got a good one ahead of you. Nick is a photographer and artist who has his work displayed at Artfuss Studios, ARTFUSS Gallery in Dallas, which is Ross and Rachel's gallery. I will be back at some point. In the meantime, here's Nick, Ross, and Rachael. Thank you very much.
What do you specialize in and what makes your gallery different?
Yeah, I think, just like you hear, like we're both from the arts in our own respect. So I think, first and foremost, we're just coming from an artist perspective. And, we see this like world of the arts and how artists are treated to how they are represented and how you speak for them, and it's something that we really feel passionate about and that we think we do well. I was dealing art out of Houston, funny enough. I was dealing art out of Houston a number of years ago, and I learned a lot from someone who is really seasoned with 45 years of experience. So I learned a lot, and I really like entrepreneurship. I always was never made for corporate very much. Mm-hmm. So I started working on this business plan for a number of years, and when Ross and I met, it was really organic, oddly enough. We started we met on Tinder. It was like not really the most typical coming about story of people finding each other. We went into business before we got engaged. We moved in together after just a couple months of knowing each other. So we kind of
moved in. She said, "I'm bringing my cat over."
Yeah, I moved my cat.
And I knew it was about to happen. I was like, "Why not?"
Being a manipulative woman.
And then,
so we try to avoid it.
Sorry.
Yeah. But okay.
But yeah, so the gallery we formulated together over the course of a number of years. We had a gallery called On Fifth, and then we transitioned out of that one into Artfuss, which was a name that Ross had in his brain for a number of years, and it just made so much sense.
Yeah.
What's the fuss about? We're about the art. We're not about, necessarily the quick sale or like the quick turnaround. We want to develop relationships and community.
Yeah.
So that's sort of where we're at. We've been doing pop-up series this past year. It's been really exciting. And we've got some really cool long shows, bigger shows that we're working on in the next in the next year. 2027 is going to be really cool.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Lots of planning. So like my background, me being a strategist and Rachael coming from the hospitality and service world, we're kind of a hodgepodge of like a jigsaw puzzle coming together. She's very amazing of the upfront client-facing relationship building, and she keeps the autistic boy in the background. You want to know more about this artist? Meet Ross.
yeah, very much so.
And then I just go
that is so true.
too deep. But we've learned to like how to utilize each other's strengths and play into how we use that in sales tactics. I've learned a lot of sales from her, especially her theater side. So when you're talking to a client, the way you affect your voice, the way that you deliver narrative, or the way that you withhold information so you keep them constantly curious. So if they want to know more, one line she has is, well, give me your credit card and
Yeah.
we'll tell you more.
Yeah. I like that. I like that.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun.
And then, like,
Yeah.
within the business itself, Rachel's very much that very colorful, bubbly attitude and very front-facing for the brand itself. Whereas me, very strategist, very creative director, very, like, I will sit there and noodle on something until I know it's right.
Mm-hmm. But that's what makes you really good at the curation part of it. You know, we love curating a show. It's really fun. It's one of our favorite kind of intimate moments with the art, and it's his brain when it comes to curatorial senses is really really fun to work with. You know, we have a cool partnership in that. So we've been on it for about 4 years almost. So
Well, let me ask you
we're
this.
still green, but we found a good methodology and language.
Rachel got a degree in lighting, and she taught me it in 1 month, and she's already like,
he's a great
this
student.
is not fair.
Yeah,
Like, you're way better than me at it.
No.
There's a right brain, left brain thing.
Yeah, right brain.
Well,
left
let me
brain.
ask you that on the note of curatorial.
Mhm.
How do you handle bad artists that reach out to you?
Ooh, we've kissed a lot of frogs.
Yeah, we've kissed a lot of frogs. You know, I learned this phrase. It's not mine, but there are more artists than there are walls, right?
I think that was me.
And no,
I think that was me that said that.
Yeah, right.
I've said that.
He's a
I've said
wise
that
man.
all the time.
He's a wise man.
I think that was Adolf Hitler.
Careful. Hot topic.
Yeah.
Hot
Hey, he
topic.
was actually a good artist.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's kind of shit.
But no, he, you know, there's a lot of artists out there, and you know, sometimes you can really like a person,
Sure.
and that's really difficult, especially if you're like a people pleaser,
Sure.
right?
Sure.
It's hard to, you know, be honest and straightforward, and it's hard. And just because it, you know, the cop out is, you know, this might not be the art for us, but that doesn't mean that it's not for somebody else.
Yeah.
So just because maybe we don't necessarily like it or we are not attracted to it, doesn't mean that there isn't a gallery or someone out there that's going to look at it and it changed their life or they'd like to invest in it. So sometimes that's the easy cop out with people that we don't like. In other cases,
I think
it's really hard because like they become sometimes like they're like a little bit stalkerish.
Ooh. Give me an example. Name names.
Yeah.
Name names.
Oh, we can't name names, but
I don't remember. I block them out. It's like a trauma.
it's like your
I
brain
don't know.
removes them.
What was that woman?
Shh. Okay. So, like, in general, Rachel has a really amazing quote, and this goes for artists, it also goes for clients, but is, we still believe in romance.
Okay.
Romance isn't dead.
Romance isn't dead.
Yeah.
And so we love building a relationship prior to investing into someone. We did that with you.
Mm-hmm.
We fell in love.
Mm-hmm. The feeling is mutual.
Oh, yeah.
Clearly.
Yeah.
But like we've had some artists where we really like, it felt like dating.
Sure.
Yeah.
Joey Brock is one.
Yeah.
And
Fantastic artist. Go check him out.
But make sure you tell people in the microphone.
Yeah. Oh, Joey Brock. Check him out. Joey Brock Art. Instagram. He's great.
we actually met.
Anyway, you guys were dating Joey.
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
dating
Throuple
Joey.
situation.
But like he's an example of like we really saw a North Star for him, and a lot when we take on an artist, we not only want to invest in our time and energy into their work, but as also career growth for that person.
Correct. Yeah.
And Joey is one of those people. The first show that we did for him was almost a full year after we initially met him, and we did a show on Fifth Gallery,
Mm-hmm.
but it was in Clifton. And ironically, Clifton is where he would go visit his grandmother and aunt and learn how to quilt. And all of his work is about quilting, mylar plastic material. And it just clicked for him like, oh my God, this is a full circle, beautiful moment for him.
Yeah.
And I think that initially really solidified.
Yeah, but Lauren, this artist,
But like
Yeah.
so like, and then for him, like, we're very invested into him. We're very good friends. He's almost like family to us. I now know the term gunkle. And so that's Joey Brock.
Yeah.
And you're also in that bucket. Then on the other opposite sliding scale is we have these artists that think they are creative geniuses.
Sure.
And it's art slop.
Sure.
And
Define art slop. What do you mean by that? What is art slop?
Abstract expressionism.
Say more.
Art slop is you're achieving a creative outlet without purpose.
Okay. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So we've had to talk to a number of artists through my parents that we did business with, that we were now separated with, but the artists that we I guess like mitigated with them.
That's nice.
One guy watched the Jackson Pollock movie with
his wife, his girlfriend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he, at the end of the film, he was like, "Oh, I could do that."
I could do that.
And I'm like, "Are you fucking kidding me?"
Somebody already did that.
He said, "I'm the next Jackson Pollock."
He called his pieces my Pollock.
My Pollock.
But hang on, because Jackson Pollock was already a guy. I mean, that was already a thing.
Yeah.
And they made a movie about him. You watched the movie.
Right.
So what do you mean you're the next Jackson? There's already been one.
And he said that he copywrote his art, and I was like, "No shit, dude. Anyone that makes art, it's already copywritten."
Yeah.
Try again.
Damn.
But then we also had this one broad out of who was his teacher, and she
It really rolls downhill, by the way.
she acted like her stuff was like revolutionary.
$60,000
Pieces that she couldn't sell, and it was abstract expressionism. She couldn't really tell me exactly what her art meant, and I caught her in a lie once when she looked at one painting and said, "Well, a lot of people have told me that this reminds them of when they went scuba diving." Well, we have that piece in our gallery because we're just testing out her work. And her husband goes, "Oh, this reminds me of that time I went scuba diving in the Galapagos." And I looked at her like, "You fucking bitch. Get your shit out of here." You liked me over something simple.
Yeah.
But she would walk around, critique all the other artists, talk shit.
Yeah.
And then essentially she came back and I said, you gotta go.
Yeah.
And that's a good point that you bring up, is that like a lot of what determines artists that we work with is like their sensibility or like their personality. It actually makes such a massive difference. You know, her work really wasn't terrible, to be honest. It wasn't like the worst of the worst.
Sure.
It would be
But
really
she
good as a
was
print
so
on
terrible.
toilet paper.
Yeah.
She was so terrible that it just made you just it just put this distaste in your mouth. And like having a certain kind of attitude, or how you treat other artists in your community, how you participate or don't participate, it actually makes a huge difference. You know, it really does, because we can only do so much as a gallery. And I think that those standards are really high.
Yeah.
But I think I'm not saying it's a cop-out by just making the art, but there is another level, I think, of responsibility that all artists kind of take on, either truly embodying it or how you move through life as being someone who's representing or being a mirror to our society. Not to get too deep.
No,
But
get deep.
I think that that's really important to us.
Right.
You know?
And like there's a lot of artists that and anyone can do art. Everyone's born creative, in my opinion. But you got to decide whether or not you're doing the art for yourself or are you doing it for other people.
And that's okay too.
Yeah.
I talk to a lot of artists, and when I'm in various shows, and I'll meet the other artists if it's a group show, and I'll start talking to them, and some of them are there's various stages of in an artist's career, right? And some of them that are just starting out are talking about how, and regardless of what their art looks like, and I'll be honest with you, the shift happens when you find your voice. The shift doesn't happen when you get better at something. The shift happens when you're like, oh, I'm making this thing that's true to myself, and nobody else can make it. I'm the only vessel through which this energy can flow, and I found that niche. And nobody can copy you because nobody else is you, right?
Right.
And that's when people start seeing something as authentic in your work, right? Versus just like you said, this abstract expressionism thing that everybody,
the next Pollock.
The next Pollock or somebody just, wanting a creative outlet, like you said, and we live in capitalism, so the next thing is, I had fun painting this, well, maybe I can sell it and this can be my full-time job and I can actually enjoy my life, right?
Right.
But the conversation I have over and over is sort of the different avenues that people go and that they're trying to become a full-time artist. What I've seen are basically, there's 3 big avenues that I've seen. One is you get out there, you self-promote, you have a website, you promote it on Instagram, you try your best to sort of, sell prints of your work to as many people as possible and just work on volume. The other avenue I've seen is sort of the art show route where you're traveling around the country, you're setting up a booth, you're paying these exorbitant booth fees. And I've seen people make good money on either of those. And the third, in my opinion, the hardest route, and this is the route I'm going, is working with galleries. And the reason I work with galleries is because in addition to being an artist, I'm also a photographer, commercial photographer. And I just bought another portrait photography business that keeps me very busy. And I don't want to develop the skill of selling art, right? But that's a gate-kept industry.
It is, yeah. That's a hot word, gatekeepers, for Ross and I. But yeah, we are gatekeepers. It is what it is. And it's anybody who has a client book is going to want to hold that dear. It's like our own little black book.
Well, I think
what we try to encourage is relationship building. That isn't just between the gallerist and the sale or the client. We try to create a relationship between the artist as well. And we think that there's sometimes a really great way of facilitating future investment in that way. We have a rat-a-tat on the door.
Oh, wow.
Tea
Look at that tea service. That's beautiful.
Oh, Mobile tea. This is a thing in our house. So.
Oh, nice.
I love
I hope you
this.
enjoy.
Thank you, man.
Thank you.
I do want to say this is my 3rd time on this podcast, and I'm so honored to be Harvey's, I think, first repeat guest, and also just like, the one he can call. I'll be here. You know what I
love
mean?
that.
Yeah.
But you're a really reliable person.
Rachel,
So
thank you for saying
I
that.
think that you're a very reliable human being.
Let's finish your thought before about the
Yeah.
gatekeeping, because I want to talk about that again.
Yeah, I think so we really just try to gatekeepers of the industry. Those are going to exist because it's kind of the world order
Sure.
of things.
Mm-hmm.
Also, artists, in my opinion, I want you to do your thing.
Right.
Your thing isn't the sell. Your
Yeah.
thing is the art thing.
Yeah.
And I would rather your energy go into that than do the part that I actually really enjoy, which is creating value
Yeah.
for you. Like
Yeah.
that to me is very exciting, because then I can preach your good word, as
Yeah.
it were. That's the theater of it all that I really enjoy.
Yeah.
And if I believe in it, then it makes me that much more eager to embody it myself. So I welcome it's a joy to not have you want to do it. Honestly, I love that. It's a great aspect.
Well, I think one of the things also that we try to do differently. Yes, by proxy, a gallery is always going to be a gatekeeper, but since we come from the creative world, me, car designer and artist, Rachael, vocalist, and the service industry is also a creative one.
And theater.
And so what we try to do is when we're building that relationship, we don't want to stifle your creativity.
Mm-hmm.
In a ton of galleries, like let's say Apple apple sells.
Apple's one of my pieces.
And then if we're a typical gallery, we're like, give me more apples.
Sure.
I only want apples.
Yeah.
And so you'll create more and more apple, and then you're like, fuck, dude, I just want to do this other stuff because now I'm just wasting my energy and my time. My creativity starts to plateau.
Yeah.
And once it plummets, they just throw you away.
Yeah.
Next artist in.
Yeah.
And that's the typical gallery world.
Yeah. I will say on the note, before Rachel and I, before we were there for a second, Rachel and I were talking about reliability and one of those things, and I think that goes hand in hand with what we were talking about with relationships, and especially with artists. I can't stress this enough when I talk to people. Just be fucking normal. Just be fucking normal. I mean, is it so hard to, respond to a text in a normal way and not, it's like I work with so many people, and I want like a good or service from them as a vendor, as a consumer, and it's just like, yeah, man, you're talented, but the juice ain't worth the squeeze here because you are so hard to work with, and I just value somebody who will do what they say they were going to do. So many people sort of position themselves up as this thing, and then when it comes time for the
to show up, yeah.
The pattern that I've seen, I've told Rachel this a number of times, is my favorite artists to work with are artists that came from not the art world. They came from art directing. They came from design. They came from real estate or financing, because they understand the business ethics themselves, rather than just being prima donnas that feel like the world just serves them. And
hot take.
But like that doesn't discredit, like, we know some artists that they have had the courage to do art their entire careers, and it's impressive that they've made it this far. But they are hard to work with, and they're like herding cats sometimes.
Yeah.
You talk, like, you get close to an artist, you talk about their interpersonal relationships with friends, family.
Yeah.
You end up taking on a different role of almost like a therapist.
Yeah.
And it's really hard to like set those boundaries sometimes.
Yeah.
But
okay, Rachel, I'll tell you, but like I fall into this trap, I think, sometimes because my art is, if you're a longtime listener of the podcast, you'll know my art is a mixed media printed photograph with acrylic paint, and it takes me from having the idea to executing the photo shoot, which is a team process, to getting it printed by my printer, to taking it to the studio and painting it, to taking it down to get it framed. It is a 8-9 week process from beginning to end, from ideation to completion. So I have people that are waiting on pieces, and they're going to continue to wait because it is a lot.
Be a wanted man. Like, I think that there's nothing wrong with waiting. Like, we live in a world of consumerism where things are so instantly given to us. We lack patience.
Well, and as long as you're setting the expectation, hey, this is the process.
But that's the process. You have to wait for it to get what you want. If you want the product to be what you want it to be, or if you want the art or the feeling or whatever.
even for yourself as an artist.
Yeah.
It's like, I mean, my work is huge.
Right.
So I'm thinking very far in the future. I'm like, okay, can I afford giant pieces of acrylic plexiglass that I can do my tape drawings on? I'm like, okay, well, then I look over time, they're bending, and I'm like, okay, I need a better substrate. And so it takes a lot of thinking and time and planning, and you know what that piece may or may not look like.
Yeah, you got an idea.
Yeah,
right.
It's just
it might be garbage.
Right, and it's just an idea. Like, everything's a hypothesis until you experiment.
Yeah, Rachel, what were you gonna say?
No, I think I was just gonna say that it's the someone, even as a singer, and like that's it again where we come from. We come from this artist perspective. As a singer, someone will look at me and be like, "Oh, sing this for me." And it's like, I can't just do that.
No.
I can't do that.
No.
So
your whole warm-up
we kind of understand the process. We respect the process and the integrity of it. We also understand how much that takes out of an artist.
I think we're recording.
We weren't. So maybe we were shit talking Ben Shapiro.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Ben Shapiro. I mean, that's an interesting topic. I think you and I talked about the other day a little bit. Is one of the things that's wonderful about art is the capability of soft power. Is you got hard power, which is dropping a bomb on the country. Soft power is manipulating people to butter them up for a conversation, for civil discourse, or bureaucratics, essentially. A perfect example of this is during the 1950s and 60s, the CIA started sending jazz musicians to Asia to share cultural
Japan.
Heritage and whatnot to Vietnam, Japan, and Korea. And over time, what that would do would be a common place to have conversation and enjoy something together. And now what's crazy, to this day, the best place to see jazz in the world is Korea.
Wow. That is crazy.
And they love cowboys too.
They do. There's that Texas bar in Japan.
Yeah, I really want to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would want to
I
go.
want to walk in and strut like John Wayne. I made it.
I'm out of questions. Do you guys have anything for me?
Yeah, like I've got a question. So we've gotten to know each other through like the course of like almost a year.
Sounds about
maybe
right.
Maybe about a year.
Yeah.
And how you've gone from how you do intersect into the arts, right? Like you're doing this podcast. You're in photography. What when you kind of look, how did you get into the arts? How did that how did that kind of spring you into this world? Like,
Yeah.
because everybody's got an origin story of some
Sure.
kind,
Sure.
I don't know your origin story.
Wow. Okay.
Started building fish tanks.
Yeah. I thought we were going to talk about fish tanks today.
We can. The reference that Ross is making is that I'm secretly super into building fish tanks. I'm secretly a fish tank dork. But
his tism powers come out strong with fishies. And I
Absolutely.
learned so much the other day.
yeah.
I was overwhelmed, and then I was studying, and I was like, okay, now I can interact.
Yeah.
I kind of get it now.
Yeah,
Now
he
you get
literally came home and that was the only thing he could talk about
Yes,
for like 3
yes.
days.
And
Yeah.
then she got on Pinterest and just started looking at all fish tanks. Like,
Mhm.
look
I
at
created
this
a Pinterest
ecosystem.
board.
And I'm like, baby, that's AI.
Yeah.
I can't put an oak tree inside
Yeah, I know.
of a tiny little fish tank.
No, that doesn't work. Well, you could if you got enough fish tank power.
Right.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Okay.
How I started, let's see. I was in 2015 or so, I was kicking around Deep Ellum doing concert reviews for $50 a day. And just not really being worth a shit as a human being. I think I was like 20 years old, it didn't really have a job. Parents were bankrolling me, and I wandered into this guy's, what I thought was a bookstore. I just wandered in. He had books on the wall, and I walked into there, and I started looking at all the books he had, and he was making a cup of coffee, and I was like, oh, this is a cool little bookshop. And I started looking around. This is this guy's house. And I said, dude, do you live here? He's like, yeah, don't worry about it. It happens all the time. We just started talking, and it turned out this guy was a photographer. And at the time, he was the official photographer for Cattle Barons Ball. It's a huge charity event that happens every fall here in Dallas, and it raises millions of dollars for cancer. And part of being the official photographer is you're contractually obligated to shoot about 50 events per year. So you get paid for the one, but you're obligated to cover all these events. And these events are just like dinners and cocktail parties and mixers and things like that. And they need a photographer there. Nobody ever really looks at the pictures. It doesn't matter. So he would send me there for 20. He's like, dude, you got the gift of gab. Come work for me. I'll put a camera in your hand. You go there, you shoot. And so that's what I did. I started out. My first ever shoot was I went to Highland Park Village into Bistro 31, and it was kind of like, hey, get together, click,
How long were you shooting for prior?
No, this is
Just
it.
straight up.
This is it. Yeah.
Man,
Yeah.
he threw you in the fire.
Yeah, he did. And he's done that for everybody. I mean, the to have the faith or to have the trust, maybe he just didn't care.
The balls.
But the balls
Yeah.
to sort of, get, say, hey, like, this is my livelihood. I'm gonna, throw somebody into it, and maybe they'll work out. Maybe they won't.
Yeah, I'm gonna give you a $6,000 camera.
Yeah.
I hope you return.
Yeah. And I did return, and the pictures were awful. They were terrible. But every single person at the party would tell him how fun I was to have there. Because I would be there, and these are all rich old ladies, and I'm, hey, I'm schmoozing. I'm working the room, basically,
Yeah.
And he said, dude, he goes, I can teach you how to hold a camera and take pictures. I can't teach you how to make rich ladies like you. That's a gift, And he's like, if you got that, then you can do this. And I was like, great. It sounded like a cool job. Photography's a cool job. I don't care what anybody says about it.
It is cool.
And it seemed like it made more money than what I was doing. So I bought a little camera. I started holding myself up as, I'm this photographer, and I was doing shoots for friends and stuff like that. And then, sure enough, I started to take some more work on for him. Got better at it. You suck at. I'm a firm believer that even if you shoot, you suck at photography for a long time. Everybody does. Yeah. Everybody sucks for like 5 years.
What was the hook for you?
People. Mm-hmm. I'm into people.
Yeah.
I like people, and that's always been my interest.
I love that.
I'm a people.
I had one of my best friends. His mom. She's a very well known prop designer and set designer. And when I asked her, when I was getting advice, as a businesswoman, right? And she said, I just started saying I was it.
Yeah.
She's like, I really just started telling people what I was.
Yeah.
And then I became it. She's like, you had and she's kind of witchy. She believes very much in the law of attraction, which I do too.
That's not witchy. That's just facts.
Yeah, I believe in the law of attraction. But she's like, I said that I was a set director and I was an interior designer, and I became one.
Yeah.
And that sort of, I believe that you kind of did the same thing. You embodied it, and
100%. Yeah, 100%. There's a swagger that goes into it.
Absolutely.
And you have to just sort of fake it. And you have to have the balls to sort of fake it. And even today, like, I'm a commercial photographer, right? I don't know where my next check is coming from, but I'm just kind of delusional. And I think...
a little delusion is good.
Well, and listen, all the evidence points to the fact that it's going to work out. It has worked out up till now. Right. It's probably going to continue to work out. So...
Knock on wood, yeah.
Knock on wood, of course.
Well, I think, like, one of the things that, for me, because, like, I was in automotive for about 8 years, left it because I got screwed by, if you're in automotive long enough, you're young enough, you will see a reorg and you will be a part of it, and you start to understand that you're a number.
Mm-hmm.
So I left it for a while.
Yeah.
When industrial design went into fashion, oil and gas, working for the Empire, ExxonMobil, and when I was looking for their job for the past year and a half, I was so convinced that I couldn't go back in automotive, because prior to what it did to my soul.
Mm-hmm.
And Rachel would always introduce me as a car designer, and I would never do that, because I was like, I feel arrogant if I do that, and like, yeah, I'm a fucking car designer, blah blah blah. And when I was searching for a job for so long, nothing was working, nothing was sticking, I turned to Rachel and I was like, I think I'm just going to give it a shot and look at it. 2 weeks later, I get a job.
Yep.
And Rachel just was like, hey, this is what you are.
Yeah.
And I think you just need to rework your narrative internally. And embrace it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think yeah, and the fact that you just like went and embraced that aspect of what you did is, I think, part of your success, because you have a continuous drive to create and to connect with people,
and
it comes through in the
yeah.
work, and it's one of the reasons why we love working with you.
And it shows in your art.
Thanks.
Yeah.
So what I was gonna say is I'm not, the thing that I'm not quite there at. It's funny because I've made my CV, looking back on my CV, and I'm like, and I've always said this. I've said, ever since I started doing this body of work, people have responded very well to it, and I don't necessarily know why. I mean, I like it personally, but I'm not the most skilled technical artist. But
This is always a funny part that you say, and I hate when you say it.
okay.
It's called imposter syndrome.
Well, so I just recently got comfortable calling myself, hey, I'm a photographer. That's what I am. That's what I do. That's where all my income from. 100% of my income comes from photography. That's not what makes a photographer. You can work a full-time job and do photos on the side and be a photographer. You're a photographer when, like you said, you call yourself a photographer, and I don't care what kind of photography that is. But artist is the thing.
It carries responsibility.
There's a thing there,
There's something there.
and when somebody, and what's funny is, I'll be in a conversation with somebody and they'll really like me, and they ask me what I do, and I say I'm a photographer, and they'll say, oh, well, can you take pictures of my 3-month-old? And I'm like, well, okay, how do I
tell her that I'm
How
not
about
that
when it's
kind
4
of-
months old?
That's not the kind of photographer that I'm trying to be right now.
Well, I mean, how do I say this that's not disrespectful? Like, that's beneath me, because it's not, but also, like, I don't want to offend Art Fuss Gallery and all of the wonderful galleries that I've built relationships with, that that have invested in me, and I have a responsibility there to sort of to live up to that, basically.
But you also got to eat.
That's true. I do have to eat,
And
yes.
that's something we embody as well. I mean, I've taken on jobs recently. One of them, I had to redesign a website for. Now she's witchy. Barbara Barrett.
Okay.
Barbara Barrett is an author, and she
Check out her book.
Check out her book, Sugar Weasel.
Exposed.
It's about a clown gigolo in Austin, Texas, that usually does divorcee parties and bachelorettes.
All right.
And when I was she's a very neurotic woman, late 80s, early 80s,
Late 80s.
late 80s, and
This is her age, right? Not the era that we're talking
No.
about.
Yeah.
no, she's from the love era of the 1960s. She's a wonderful sweetheart, but
She gave me a weed gummy.
oh
She
god.
gave me a weed gummy, and I didn't know how intense it was.
So she pulls out a bag, and Rachel doesn't even bat an eye. She just puts her hand in and puts it in her mouth, and she looks up at Rachel with these big doe eyes, like, "You got 45 minutes till you need to be horizontal." And I look at the bag. The bag says total 10,000 milligrams of THC. Rachel ate a 500 milligram gummy. I could see, it was translucent enough that I could see the weed in the gummy.
It was a
Spiritual experience.
It was a come to Jesus meeting. It was a spiritual.
She thought it was a
event.
great idea to call her mother 10 minutes before we got to the house.
I did. I called my mother, and she was like, "Are you okay? You sound weird." Ross was like, "We gotta go. We gotta go."
Like,
So
a phone.
yeah, there's nothing wrong with being scrappy. I
Sure.
think is what Ross is trying to say. Like, there's nothing wrong with being scrappy and
Yeah,
getting
sorry
your
for the
coin,
long-winded.
get that bag. There's nothing wrong with that as long as it's going to the support of, like, I think your actual, like, passion or your work,
Yeah.
and then let the gallerists do their job.
Yeah. So that reminds me of a funny story. Way back in the day, I think they probably still do have this, but there's a music festival in Austin called Bob Marley Fest.
Mm-hmm.
They may have changed it to Reggae Fest.
Yeah, I think so.
When I was a kid, my mom used to take me, And it cost a can of soup to get in. You'd have to donate a can of soup for the homeless. And you'd get in and you could enjoy reggae music or whatever. And everybody in there is smoking weed and, everything else. Well, when I was in college, I decided I wanted to go and I wanted to trip acid. So I go into the music festival and I start asking the usual suspects, hey, do you have acid? Do you have acid? Do you have acid? No. All right, fine. Finally asked this one girl, hey, do you know where I can get some acid? She's like, no, but I've got these edibles. But before gummies, brownies and Rice Krispie treats were how you ate edibles.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then shroom icing on the brownies.
Sometimes, yeah. So I'm like, okay, that'll do. So I break off a 20 or whatever and eat the brownie and going about my day. And then but I still want acid. So I'm still asking people, hey, do you know where to find
You got to
acid?
use your code words though.
No, not
Not
here.
at a festival.
Not
No,
at
you got to get like, hey, do you have
Reggae fest?
any of that Michelle Obama diet pills?
No, Bob Marley Fest is a free for all. Everything it's like everything looks legal there. So I mean, you walk up to a cop smoking a blunt, he won't care. Back then, he wouldn't care. Nowadays, that's everywhere. But back then, it was like you're in the circle of trust here.
Mm-hmm.
And so I started asking people. I keep asking people for acid, and one guy's like, "No, I don't have any acid, but I've got these shrooms." So I'm like, "Okay, fine."
Oh my god, you just like
buy and I'm sitting there. I'm still stone cold sober because edibles take about 45 minutes to kick in, and shrooms take about 45 minutes to kick in.
That's true.
And so I eat the shrooms, and I'm just sitting around, like not really having fun, just kind of waiting for everything to kick in. And this guy comes up to me. He's like, "Hey, I'm glad I found you. You still want some acid?"
oh god.
And I'm like,
Yeah,
"Sure, that sounds great." Which is, people, you can blame drugs and alcohol, but I was stone cold sober when I said, yes, please. And so I bought a hit of acid and I took that. And I shit you not, it all hit me at the exact same moment. And I start freaking out. I start looking for the exit. I'm like, I can't find it. So I'm like climbing the back fence. Security's beelining on me, which is a bad vibe. And I'm like looking around. I'm like, holy shit, I have to get out of here. And I came there with a friend, and I told my friend, I said, dude, and this guy's sober too. Like, he wasn't high yet. And I was like, dude, listen. I was like, I have to get out of here. If I look at the exit, I can see where it is, but then I can't walk because I can't see my feet.
That reminds me of a story.
Hang on, I'm not done.
Yeah,
I'm not
okay,
done.
okay. This is scary.
And then I go, Phil, if I can look at my feet, I can walk okay. But then I can't see where I'm going because I can't see the exit. So I need you to walk 3 to 6 feet away from me and lead me to the exit of this thing. And he's so mad, and he does it. And I'm like literally looking down at my feet so I can walk, and then watching his feet. And then it feels like it takes us an hour to walk out of this place because there's just a sea of people around. I just feel so terrible.
The worst feeling.
It's awful. And so I'm watching him. We get to the exit. He's pissed off, cussing because he didn't get to enjoy the music. We drove all the way down to Austin for this music festival. He didn't get to see one band.
How long were y'all there for?
We were supposed to be there for the day and like drive back that night, but like at that point, I wanted to be home in my bed.
Cold pillow.
Yeah. And so I get to my car. It's Texas is hot. It's 1,000,000 degrees outside. I'm like blasting the AC, and somebody had told me at some point that, keep in mind, I'm like 19 years old at this point. Somebody had told me that if you take too many hallucinogens, don't worry, a little bit of alcohol will like calm you down.
No.
Yeah. So I'm 19 years old, and I say, now's the time I'm going to go try and buy alcohol illegally at this convenience store in downtown Austin.
Just stacking it.
Oh my god! And so I walk into this convenience store, and and it's packed because it's in the middle of downtown Austin. I mean, it's a music festival across the street. And so I walk in, and the line is like out the door, and I go find like a 40 ounce of something, and I get in this long line, and in my mind I'm thinking, everybody knows I'm so fucked up. Everybody can fucking tell how fucked up I am, And I'm like, I have to say something to diffuse the situation.
Oh, B19,
The
man.
tension.
man.
I'm like, it's so tense in here. I have to make a joke, you know? And I'm like, okay, there's a long line in here. And there's a couple in front of me, young couple, like UT students or something. I'm like, I bet like I can make a comment on how long the line is. And it'll go over great, and I'll be able to buy this and get out of here, and everything will be cool. So I'm thinking about, long line, what has long lines? And it hits me, and I just blurt out, "This is like Schlitterbahn." It's loud, like just like that. You know what I mean? Pupils the size of quarters. So the poor girl turns to me, and her boyfriend puts his arm around her, like, don't look at him, don't make eye contact. And I'm like, okay.
I'm like, okay, I am that fucked up.
I'm like, all right.
Oh no.
This is not good.
This is what I don't understand about people who do drugs at festivals.
Okay.
There's certain drugs that I think are, kind of cool to do at festivals.
Sure.
But mushrooms, I don't get it. I do not get that. I would be so overstimulated.
So
there would be too much happening.
Yeah.
I would have an anxiety attack.
I
don't think it's about your set and your setting, man.
yeah.
Like I can't imagine doing certain, like when people say that they're just like dropping
Yeah.
things left and right. I've candy flipped like the best of them, but I want to be like, where like there's some pretty things to look
Sure.
at and like soft
Sure.
stuff.
So for me, I'll just tell you my experience. Now that I'm been sober over 10 years, I hate music festivals. I do not enjoy them.
Unless they're jazz.
I don't like any of them. I don't have a good time.
I'm a musician and I don't like music festivals.
Yeah. At the time,
Yeah.
the music festival is all about the drugs that you
Mhm.
can find there. It's like a place where you can go get drugs. That's what I cared about,
Right, and that's what, like,
So true.
what I because, like, Detroit is the, so I was car designer in Detroit, so car designer in Detroit. Movement takes place there. So techno was invented in Detroit.
Mm.
You got techno, you got hard rock, you got blues, you got amazing jazz, everything. It's this like hemisphere of just beautiful, amazing music. And movement happens every year.
Mm.
And I was always one that was trying to bump drugs off people.
Yeah.
And what I learned is you got to pre-plan your fuel,
Yeah.
or that whole hysteria and that anxiety before you take like Molly or something else. You're not gonna have a good time.
Yeah.
So my story, I'm with a buddy who is a rocket scientist,
Mhm.
and another buddy who is a environmental scientist, and they both want drugs, and they are asking everyone under the sun. And I'm like, oh my God, that guy's a cop, that guy's a cop, that guy's a cop. Like, just identifying because my brother's a cop and I can see the undercover cops. Well, I thought that it's because they slipped me something.
Uh-huh.
And I was just paranoid the whole time. And I was
Sure.
just like, you have Molly? Do you have Molly? Do you have Molly? Do you have Molly? Our buddy, who's a geologist, got Molly. Me and the rocket scientist walk off, and we find someone that has ecstasy.
Mm.
And he's like, do you want the Batman or the Superman
Sure.
pill?
Sure.
And I was like, man, I fucking love Batman, but not thinking why that represents Batman.
Yeah.
So it had heroin in it,
Ah.
and my day went super south. Jeff took the Superman pill, which had PCP in it, and he had the time of his life.
Sure.
He saw the best music, best concerts. I went back to the hotel room, and I'm rocking back and forth, hoping and praying that everything ends. And I found out the geologist climbs the water tower, like it's like a big fountain, and he falls off of it.
Oh my God.
Meanwhile,
Y'all-
he's talking to the like paramedics, and he's rolling. And Jeff, who just took PCP, is like talking to a cop. He's like, I I have no idea what happened. He's
Y'all are
"Get-"
the worst. Like literally the worst. I feel so much more responsible.
Good. Good.
Listening
As
to
you should.
these stories,
Yeah.
which is not
Well,
the case.
well,
But
you're
At
female.
least Ross was partying with fucking rocket scientists. My friends were all like in and out of prisons.
yeah. You know, I guess there's
I mean, rocket scientists
silver
historically
lining
don't
there.
have
There's
the
a
best
silver-
reputation.
a silver
Good.
lining there for sure. Oh my God.
All right. Should we talk some more shit?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hit me.
Okay. So
That's my
I was.
opinion about something because I got some.
Ooh.
Oh, okay. So I was talking to the band, and I was like, you know, what's some like online stuff that you guys think is like kind of ridiculous, or like that you think is a little wild?
Interdimensional beings.
And yeah, and they were talking about these internet. And I said, what do you think of these different dimensions that we've opened up, and do you think that's real? And then
I need to be brought up to speed on this. I'm super interested and I believe every second of it, but I need to like from a beginning to end kind of a thing.
I can explain it.
But the
I'll
other
let her
thing,
finish.
the other thing that they were talking about was the Artemis people thinking that Artemis didn't happen, and like all of this coming out of like
People think we didn't go to the moon.
Yeah.
We went to the moon.
yeah, but like this was like what do you think about the hysteria? That's what I'm going to call it, the hysteria of disbelief.
Okay. That's
Okay.
interesting.
The hysteria of disbelief and like facts, or what is fact these days? What are your thoughts on that? I don't know what do you think about that?
You want me to go first?
Yeah, go
Stage
first.
is yours.
I'm gonna come at this from left field.
Not right field?
No, not right field. So Sarah and I went on a We went on a vacation earlier this year. We went to Morocco. We were there for I think like 3 weeks total, and we traveled around the country. It was beautiful. But one of the riads we stayed in was this really nice, riad in Fez, and it had a great big TV in the hotel room. And we just sort of like bundled up and started watching TV at the riad, and I got to see what the news was when you're outside of the United States.
Oh, yeah.
And I had seen that before, but I hadn't seen it I haven't seen it in an Arab country before. And Morocco is northern Africa, which is, it's an Arab country. It's not in the Arab Peninsula, but there's,
Mm-hmm.
they speak Arabic as one of the major languages, and
Silvery Lebanese.
yeah, Islam is the predominant religion, and it's completely different than what we are seeing, and I'll paint you a picture of an example. You watch CNN, you watch Fox News, and you look at Twitter, and you're gonna get a set of facts on Fox News that for all intents and purposes might be true. They're just not gonna say it on CNN, and vice versa. And CNN seems like it's the more serious news of the two. But again, it's not about what they're saying necessarily, it's what they're not saying. And Nietzsche, Chomsky wrote about this in Manufactured Consent.
Like how they're saying it. Too.
It's also how they're saying it. So like, for example, with AI, we're going to debate over whether AI should be like in the arts. We're not going to debate, necessarily like, do these companies that are building these giant server farms in these remote places and driving everybody's electricity and water prices higher, should they be responsible for some sort of like, and they're charging for their product, so it's not like it's a public good.
But like a social fallout
Yeah.
tax.
Yeah,
essentially.
something like that, right? We're not having that conversation. The conversation we're having is how to move through fashion in the AI era, and it's taken as this like, okay, this is here and it's here to stay, which, you can't change that. But watching the news over there was very interesting because every other news story was like, America moves a battleship here, America stations troops on the border of this country and that countries I didn't even know we had, we don't even think about it. We have troops in Pakistan and India, and we're constantly moving troops up and down, and how much we were like basically running the show everywhere on Earth.
Well, World War II never ended.
Okay, that's one way to put it. Yeah, there's a world order that's in effect post World War II that is, the way of things, and has been the way of things for almost 100 years. Well, that's starting to break down now.
Mm-hmm.
And so
it's scary.
Yeah.
Well,
go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, I think one of the reasons that it's breaking down is because we're becoming more aware. Access is a huge thing. We have access to other forms of information, and that causes people to question, which isn't a bad thing. Like, questioning things is smart. If you don't, critical thinking is critical. So, the access, I think, has made a huge contributor to how we realize the impact that the United States of America actually has on the world.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that for a really long time, our country's citizens lived in a bubble.
Mm-hmm.
And the bubble is thinning out.
Mm-hmm.
The soap is getting on the ground, and it's going to pop.
Yeah.
People, well, like I would say that nothing has changed since the 50s. And you use a brilliant word, access. It's just now we have these little tiny devices. We have the internet, or the type of internet that we get access to is everything is at a constant. There's, back in the 90s, like you would have to watch news at 7 p.m. to stay up to date, or Good Morning America. The rest of the time you're outside getting dirty and killing bugs. I don't know. Whatever you did. Whatever your tism took,
sure.
wherever it took you.
Yeah.
Nothing's changed.
Yeah.
And nothing's drastically going to change. I think one of the things that I see is because we have so much access now, we now, as Americans, are seeing where all the capital is going, how it's being used, the way that America's been manipulating the world for so long.
You mean like wealth distribution?
And then us internally going, oh shit, now we have all this information access. How long have they been manipulating us?
Yeah.
And that's when it gets so difficult. You peel into politics is people so married to the left,
right,
or the right, and they're so convinced that this is fact. It's set in stone. Where I'm in the middle is like, hey, fucking nuke it from orbit. It's the only way to be sure. Like, I don't trust anyone anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But like when you go overseas, like you're saying, it is a fascinating perspective to see the homeland
mm-hmm.
from everyone else's perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And you instantly feel like you want to be small.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, fuck.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone does hate us.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
But they don't. And one of the things I learned when I was in Germany and London was they're also very emotionally and socially intelligent.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this is what we're saying.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not talking to Americans, so I don't really know what the average person actually thinks or feels.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, we're a really big country, and we've got a lot of different types of people that live here and work and survive and do that. And that's where, we as a country, like, I can't represent my entire country. That's impossible.
Not at all.
Yeah. So, but I don't know. That's all I have to say on that matter.
I was before we get into the interdimensional beings, which I want to talk about. I was having a conversation with my dad, who, if you're familiar with Shane Gillis, he's your Fox News dad.
He's your dad?
No, not Shane Gillis. No, Shane Gillis is not my dad. But he has a great bit about like a Fox News dad. You know what I mean? That's my dad. I mean, my dad's he'll sit there and get mad about some shit that I don't even know about.
Did you hear what they're doing to our toast?
Dude, he's like, there's the Somalians in whatever state.
Midlothian.
Yeah.
Dearborn, Michigan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, and
Dearborn, Michigan.
and I'm like, Dad, what are you talking about?
This doesn't affect you.
Well, not only that, but it's just like I just don't hear about it. I don't. And if I sat there and I watched I consumed the content that he consumed, I'd probably be pissed off about whatever he's pissed off.
That's what I think my problem is that we're given so much. There's so much being put at us. We don't really know how to digest it.
Yeah.
We don't we're moving from one terrible act of humanity to another.
Yeah.
We're moving from, all these fear tactics. And I feel like that's the most unhealthy thing that our kind of news world is doing to us.
Yeah.
So we look for information, we try to stay informed. But man, I'd rather just not.
I do want to circle back because we got into to politics, and I want to circle back one thing. It hit me while I was in the restroom that I want to talk to you guys about. Fine art photography is really hot right now.
Yes, it is. That's
and
true.
let me tell you something, and this is gonna piss a lot of people off.
What?
Fine art photography is a little bit. Look at me, people, just a little bit. Harvey, zoom in on my hand. A scam. And I'll tell you why.
Ooh, okay.
And I'll tell you why.
Yeah. Please do.
The scarcity of the value, the value of a fine art photograph comes from its scarcity, and that scarcity is a lie. It's a digital. If you're shooting on a digital, even if you're shooting on film,
You can make 1 million.
you could make as many prints of that thing as you want. And so you, the artist, are deciding I'm only going to make 10 of these so that I can price it higher.
Well, I think a huge thing that the challenge of just photography as an industry, let's not consider the rest of the arts, is there's not really a governing aspect that determines what is good photography versus bad photography for the masses.
There is. And it's called the fucking, like,
Camera.
you know it.
I know, but like so much of photography requires education of your viewer so that over time they understand, like they can see your eye through that lens versus someone just whipping out a brand new iPhone, which has an amazing camera on it, and taking photos. The discernment between the two. So you can look at a painting and be like, well, that's shit versus XYZ. There's so much of a technical understanding when it comes to photography. I mean, like when we looked at your corporate photography portfolio, dude, I have not seen the quality and eye that you have in a very long time.
Thank you.
It's really good. Your color balance is fucking perfect. And I can tell you don't spend a lot of time in post.
No.
And that tells me so much about you. One of the things that we love to do is when we do show photography is we tell more of that story about that artist, what they did. How hard was it to do? What was the setting? What was the reason, the intent, the environment, how you manipulated that environment?
Yeah. I just to
I'm
play
a
devil's
terrible-
advocate because you say it's a scam, which okay,
A little bit.
but I think what Ross is saying, it's the perspective, it's it's whose eye is capturing it. I think that's what people are becoming attracted to, and it's being a little bit glorified right now. And I think that's where it can be a threat to the art form, because there are amazing photographers out there that use incredible equipment. But I'm not really interested in looking at a picture of a river, or I'm not personally, certain landscapes don't pull me into it just because of beauty.
Landscapes in general don't pull me into
a beautiful photograph can be a beautiful photograph, but I personally need more than just a beautiful photograph. You know, there's this artist that we really respect, Ken Heyman. And he was a photographer, portrait photographer more than anything, but he went and traveled with Margaret Mead for a number of years. And if you don't know who Margaret Mead is, she was an activist, social and environmental activist during the 1950s and 60s. So he followed her around, and some of the shots that he took were shots of social moments, but very quiet social moments.
Or like some very distressful moments.
Yeah, so like
some of his photos changed the world.
Yeah, so some of his photos were very impactful for the reason of where he was and what time he was and what that was capturing.
Access.
Yeah, the other fact is that they were hand printed.
Yeah.
You know, they were done in film. There's only so many. There's a value in that. You know, so there's other aspects of it, but when I see just a beautiful photograph with nothing else beyond that, you know, it's very one note. It's one note.
Yeah, well, we see so much of that. You know,
and there's a lot of that.
Yeah.
I have a perfect topic for that. Astrophotography.
Say more.
Man, it's like you see the photo, and I don't think people understand how hard astrophotography is. You don't want the highest resolution camera.
No.
You want a lower resolution camera, but it's attached to a device that is insanely expensive.
Yeah.
But when you see the photo, I don't feel anything.
No. Well, and so the joy in astrophotography, a lot of people talk about astro. I've been hearing it more and more. Hey, I want to get into astrophotography. What camera would you recommend? That's not something I do, by the way. But a lot of people are into it. And I think that with a lot of these landscapes and astrophotography, and again, you know, I've seen people with, you know, retired doctors is kind of the stereotype with a $10,000 Leica on their hip, or, you know, a phase one. A phase one, by the way, is like a
$24,000, $50,000.
So, you know, I see them, and they're able to afford all of these cameras to take the most boring photograph you've ever seen.
Gadgets, old men and their gadgets.
Sure, and so you know, the joy for them is in the act of taking the photograph. It's not even necessarily in the end result.
It's just like heralding back to the earlier conversation. You're painting because it makes you feel good.
Right. Yeah, but that doesn't necessarily mean that the end result has value in the marketplace. Now, what I think, and this is just my opinion about the arts, is what gives your piece, your painting, your photograph, your I do, whatever it is that I fucking do, is value is the voice, the story, the perspective. That again, it can't be duplicated, it can't be copied. It's instantly recognizable. If somebody can walk into a room, like let's say somebody goes to one of the gallery shows, they see one of your bodies of work, and then they go to a restaurant 6 months later and they see one of your pieces without knowing that it's yours. They should be able to look at it and say, "That I know who did that. I went to one of his shows."
Yes.
You know what I mean? Because you just have a strong through line of a voice or whatever that is. Go ahead.
Absolutely right. It's such a difference and that's the integrity of the art form that gallerists kind of hold. That is again, to circle back, that's the gatekeeping aspect. We're gatekeeping not just the black book, but we're gatekeeping the industry of what we consider fine art. That's the difference. That's why it's not for everybody, and it can be a passion, and that's all good and well. But that doesn't necessarily mean that you have earned the right to be on a gallery wall. And that, you know, love it or leave it. That is sort of the level of integrity that, you know, we've chosen to hold ourselves to, which is a little egotistical. Like we're, you know, saying that we, for some reason, have earned the right to do that.
You're not the only game in town either. You can,
but there's lots of people that do that, and you know, honestly, anybody could open a gallery. If they
That's what I was just gonna say. Is if you feel entitled to be in a gallery, go open one and see how well you do.
Exactly.
And one of the things that we've been so obviously we kind of went back to the drawing board.
Yeah.
And kind of regrouping, it kind of forced in some ways because huge market crash.
Mm-hmm.
And then we've taken the opportunity to think what is Art Fuss?
Mm-hmm.
What is a gallery? What's your typical gallery? It's representing artists and putting shit on the wall and making money. And we've had we've been having discussion, and we want to be. We always say that we're more than just an art gallery. I wouldn't even. The direction that we're taking it is, I wouldn't say we're even an art gallery.
Mm.
That we are a kind of a culture house.
Yeah.
And we want to.
A lot of gallerists are doing that now, by the way.
But like identify
Yeah.
campaigns and having purpose to the shows, and because you got the artists, but as a gallerist, you can also be an artist.
Yeah.
But it's kind of more of the creative directing role and aspect is internally you can create narratives and create story, and then you're using artists to reinforce that, but you're going a step further by not just it being about art, but a deeper experience holistically. When someone walks into that space, that's when your design template starts.
Mm-hmm.
And when they leave, the same thing. So a gallery's whole objective is tell the story
Mm-hmm.
without saying a word.
Yeah.
Like just because Ross said it, and it's a culture house because there's a lot of galleries that are moving in that direction, like you said, because the regular model right now isn't working.
Yeah.
It isn't working as well as it used to because it is within a bubble.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that younger gallerists that are in the industry are recognizing that bubble and saying, okay, what can we do to make it a little bit more accessible?
Mm-hmm.
Because this generation of wealth is dying, you know. So
Yeah.
so we're
And nobody's able to replace them. I mean,
Right.
you know,
So-
if you've got 1% of the people owning 50% of the wealth,
Right.
those 1% only have so many walls. They might have a lot of
Right.
walls, but they only have so many.
right.
Versus if you had 50% of the wealth and maybe, let's say, 25% of the
Right,
people.
yeah, the diversification of art, and that does come at a cost. You know, I'm not discounting that. It does come at a cost, but there is a lot of we're obviously hope for the future because we want art galleries, we want artists to have representation, be seen, and all of that. But the industry is in a really interesting place where it is changing, and it's going to require more contribution from other industries
Mm-hmm.
to kind of work together.
Mm-hmm.
The film industry is suffering in its own way.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of different things that the arts are kind of struggling with,
Mm-hmm.
which is why I think there's a lot more collaboration, and that's where renaissances happen.
Mm-hmm.
That's a renaissance. So that's a movement.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So interdimensional being.
Okay. let's talk,
Segue.
let's talk
And
about
then that
this.
could be our
the
last.
end.
That could be the end. Okay.
All right.
All right.
Lay it on us.
Okay. Start from the beginning. In this. Okay. Wait. This is half conspiracy, half
No, it's
true.
not. This is
From
what
and
I'm
take
gonna
that
say.
as you
What I'm
will.
gonna say is, yeah, loosely true. How about this, Nick? What are your questions about it?
Well, okay. I just don't know anything about it. I know that Tim Dillon talks about Peter Thiel thinking that he's speaking to some interdimensional being underground in another country. That's all I know.
Yes, that is true.
Okay, so explain that.
All right. So, have you heard of CERN?
That's a big science thing where they do something with something else. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. CERN was formulated after World War II as a joint effort between the European countries to rebuild their intelligence and science community, and very Swiss and what a lot of money laundering, in my opinion.
Okay.
But they created the second largest working particle collider in Europe.
Got it.
The largest one is actually here in Texas.
Okay, and what?
Well, Texas is not in Europe, so what do you mean? So they created the largest one in Europe, but we have the largest one
In Texas.
in the world in Texas.
It's unfinished.
Okay, so it's not ready yet. So right now, theirs is still the biggest.
That's a whole nother thing we could talk about for an hour.
Okay.
The one in Texas, total crapshoot. Military got involved and they made it was bad.
Okay.
It's underneath Waxahachie. It's huge.
God. Okay.
It's like 8 miles in diameter. It's massive.
Okay, so we're talking about the
Yeah.
one in Switzerland.
So the one in Switzerland, they've only fired off the particle collider 3 times. The first intention was to...
And what is a particle collider?
It's a giant ring underground, and you're firing 2 atoms at ultrasonic speed into each other to make them explode.
Okay.
It's in a contained aspect. And essentially it's breaking those atoms apart so you can identify all the different particles. When they first did it, they were looking for a particle that basically were the building blocks to the entire universe.
Okay.
And that they found it, and it's called the Higgs boson.
Got it. Okay.
And aka the God particle.
Got it. Okay.
It's in every single atom. And they've been trying to figure out how we can essentially manipulate it. So far we don't know how to manipulate atoms that I know of. But what they did not know what they were doing is when you make a novel event like that, the theory is it has a potential to shift our reality. So the Mandela effect.
Okay.
So that terminology came into question right after the first time we fired off the particle collider.
So now we're talking...
Because
reality shifted.
Because people believed that Nelson Mandela
died in prison. I know the Mandela effect. I think
so.
I think
we
that's
all
pretty...
know the Mandela
Nelson
effect.
Mandela did die in
These are
prison.
smart people.
Yeah.
These are smart.
Well, so I don't have the memory of Mandela dying in prison. In my timeline,
I do.
Fruit of the Loom
I do.
had a cornucopia in my
Yes,
timeline.
it did. And it's not the Berenstein Bears, it's the fucking Bearstein Bears.
I don't know them. But anyway, so Mandela effect came... I want to keep us on track.
Yeah.
Fuck. All right. And so, essentially,
The theory.
they fired it off again. And we're talking about the smartest minds in the world. These are people that know genealogy. They have an atheist from CERN decipher the Dead Sea Scrolls.
Okay.
So he was the one that found he was the only person on the planet that could do it.
Yeah.
And he found a lot of shit in there that I have a book for you.
Okay.
Was it the
Don't derail. Keep on your...
Hold on. The book's called The Mushroom. The book and the Sacred Mushroom. It's essentially about all those Dead Sea Scroll priests were basically tripping on mushrooms.
Okay.
But that bleeds back into this because a lot of that theorized content, when they fired it off the second time, there's a genealogist and she whistle blew. There's a podcast about her talking about it. Essentially, they opened a portal.
Got it. Okay.
And that's in the center of the ring, however many stories below, but there was already a room. So you in my opinion, is you wouldn't build all that shit and then have a room in the center of it without opening a portal on purpose. Sam Altman has now been reported by several of a guy that whistleblew who was his executive software architect, that Sam is essentially building data centers in Africa in order to understand how to open portals. And that was like 2 weeks ago of him whistleblowing that shit. I'm like, holy fuck, okay, this shit's kind of real. So this woman talks about the interdimensional beings, and there's 14 different types apparently.
Mm-hmm.
And we've been talking to one in particular that is more what she would say relatable to Satan.
Okay.
So the most evil kind.
Okay.
And very super manipulating, and she like references Revelation, and she all these like
who's she? The woman?
Yeah.
Or the
Genealogist.
interdimensional being?
Yeah.
Okay.
So essentially the project is under nuclear, or
Okay.
studying the study of atoms.
Okay.
And that it's a huge range of shit. And she was talking to a bunch of her colleagues that are in that realm,
Yeah.
in that deal, and they got drunk on that. And he's like, oh, by the way, dude, like we're talking to like interdimensional beings.
Yeah.
The rabbit hole goes really far.
Okay.
Wait, I wonder if this is the thing that's related. Do you remember this thing that was circulating on the internet where like these like giants like arrived at this mall
Yeah, in Miami.
In Miami?
Yeah.
and like do you guys remember
Yeah,
that?
I do.
Because I remember it,
Yeah.
and then it was wiped from the internet.
Crazy.
Yeah.
And they said that this like particular location was like directly under Antarctica or something like that, where there was like they like when you measure through the earth, it is Antarctica.
This is in Miami Beach.
Yeah.
So
So like there's like these weird things that pop, but like with AI, what's
real?
What's real if you're not there?
Yeah.
Were there these giants that like like all of these phones like disappeared? I remember posts being about it.
Yeah,
I
me
remember
too.
seeing a post
I remember videos.
they're like
online,
12 feet
seeing
tall,
it,
and they're
Yeah.
and it
completely
looked
black.
real. It looked real. And it was before AI was
cops-
as good as it is now.
Cops apparently shot at them, and nothing happened.
Yeah.
Like their bolts disappeared.
Yeah, so I don't,
And
there's-
then it just like was just a few weeks after we went to Art Basel.
Mhm.
I remember like there being like a thing where every cop in Miami was at this one mall, and it was like a way too much of a overreaction for something that was like not really a thing. That whatever.
Yeah, and it just like immediately disappeared right
Yeah.
after that.
Yeah.
So like I don't.
Well, so what I'm understanding is the old adage, nothing ever happens, which is held true now since the dawn of America, 1776. Well, we had the Civil War, but then really, since then, nothing ever has really happened. Something might actually happen this time.
Yeah. Something might actually happen.
It's being called the age of disclosure. Like there's a film about it.
Disclosure Day, Steven Spielberg, looking forward to it. I'm excited about that. I'm excited to know for sure if there was aliens. I'm pretty sure there is, honestly.
Well, the theory is, and if you kind of like study astronomy and like aeronautics, in order to travel to another celestial body, it's essentially impossible. You would have to break physics in order to survive the trip. So it opens up the idea that interdimensional beings are more realistic because we talk about aliens.
Mm-hmm.
We talk about UFO craft. It's our shit.
Sure.
The theory is that these beings are us from different dimensions or us from the future coming back.
Well,
Ooh.
before they kill us all, if you need some art, call ArtFuss. Go to ArtFuss, ARTFUSS.com.
Yes.
Yeah. If you need some commercial photography, or if you need some art, especially look on ArtFuss for Nicholas Sanders. Check that out. Go to my website if you need some photography for your business, or if you're if you work at an ad agency and you're looking to make a connection, give me a shout. Yeah, let's wrap out of here. What do you think?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say one last thing. Like,
Hit me.
everyone is so concerned about all these different topics: aliens, interdimensional beings, war, Epstein files, you name it. One of the things that Rachel told me, and we have very varying political opinions, is none of it fucking matters.
None of it.
And get local, get involved in your local government, because that's the real thing that will affect you, and it's the real area where you can make change, and that has a ripple effect all the way to the top.
Amen. All right.
Well, thanks so much for having us.
Of course. Thank you guys for
Yeah,
coming.
we had a good time.
Yeah, that's fun.
All right, Harvey. I hope you can get a podcast out of that, buddy.
Yeah, I hope you have some stuff.
Yeah. All right. We're signing off.